Are you ready to save money on that next cruise? Join us as we explore 10 ways to save money when you book your next cruise. And as always, if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you get notified each time we post. My guest today is Larry Jackson, co-owner of Cruise Holidays of Viera, located in Melbourne, Florida. Together with his lovely wife and co-owner Linda, they have been specializing in cruises and cruise tours since 2003. Larry, Linda, and his team have sold over 7,000 cruises. Hi, Larry. Welcome to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me.
So, Larry, the last couple of months have brought us a wealth of really good news about the travel industry with the CDC announcements and new ships coming online and an unprecedented demand now for cruises. With all that in mind, I thought it would be great to talk to you today because we're starting to get a few questions from our subscribers and listeners. Is what's the best way to save money when I book a cruise? Now, I happen to know that you have a list, so maybe we can go down that list.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's going to be more important. I think what's going to be happening as we get the ship starting to fill up, then the pricing is going to start to come up. So, and it's been a while since a lot of people have booked a cruise, and maybe you've never booked a cruise. So these are some things to think about. If you're an experienced cruiser, you may have thought about these, but you haven't thought about them in a while. So we'll just run through them.
Great review.
My number one tip, and this applies to everybody, is to book early. That's really, really important because we always hear about last minute pricing and the deals come through in the last minute, but it really doesn't happen these days. Most of the cruise lines have a guarantee that within the last 60 days, they're not going to discount the pricing because they don't like the bad PR they get, because you get on board the cruise, you go down, you meet your table mates at dinner, and you start comparing prices. And they booked a year and a half ago, you booked last week, and you get a much better price. So,
and then there's war. So,
yeah, exactly. And so, the cruise lines have been putting in policies not to discount last minute. The other good thing about booking early is you get your best choice of cabins.
Right.
And this is especially important if you're traveling as a family group and you want cabins close to each other or even adjoining. And you really need to book early to be able to do that. It not only saves you money, but it makes it much nicer for planning a family vacation.
And a lot of people probably don't realize that the best cabins are the ones that really go first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another phenomenon we're seeing right now is a lot of people have these future cruise credits,
Right.
and some of them received a premium of let's say 25% for taking the future cruise credit, and they're booking the suites and the upscale cabins because they've got that extra money. Basically they're considering free money, and also they haven't spent their vacation budget for 2 years, so we're seeing the upper cabins going first. It used to be the lower cabins went first. We have a policy at Cruise Holidays of Viera, and I think most travel advisors do the same thing, that if the price goes down between the time that you make the booking and that you make the final payment, we'll honor that new price. We'll lower the price for you, even though it lowers our commissions. So,
Right. Do you monitor that, Larry?
No, that's your with all the bookings we do. There's no way we can do that. But if we ask our clients to basically keep aware. Now, just before the final payment, we will go online and double check the price to make sure it's compatible or if it's gone down or not. But most of the time, when we do that, if you booked early, the price has gone up. So. But on occasion it will happen. Okay, next on my list is the use of cabin guarantees. When you make a booking, you have on most sailings, it's not always true, but you have the choice of specifying a specific cabin that you want on a specific deck. But if you're not choosy about what cabin you want in a category. So let's say you want a balcony cabin. It's a 2D, which is, let's say, the midship category. But you're not specifically tied to any one stateroom number. Then you can use what's called a cabin guarantee, and that lets the cruise line choose the actual stateroom number, and they will give you a discount for doing that because it allows them some flexibility in doing their planning, their scheduling, upgrading people, and things like that. So the cabin guarantee is a really good type of pricing. You're guaranteed that cabin or better, and often we see upgrades to a different category. So, but usually you stay within the same category, the balcony.
Right.
whatever. So the cabin guarantee works very well.
So as long as you're not particular about where on the ship, you're going to get at least the category that you booked, and there's a chance that you may get an upgrade.
That's right. And you're going to get a discount for doing that. We're also starting to see where the cruise lines are offering guarantees for suites. That didn't used to happen. So that one is a really, because there are no bad suite
Right.
cabins. And if you're worried about an obstructed or an unobstructed view, you can actually book that category where it's unobstructed on a guarantee basis and get.
Why do you suppose they've moved to that, Larry?
I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to entice more people to move into suites. We're finding more demand for suites these days, but it's been really some really, for instance, on Celebrities Aqua Class, all of the cabins are great. They're all on the on good decks, and you can save significant amount of money by using the guarantee. Now, this doesn't work obviously if you're traveling with somebody else. You want to be close to them. If you're with a family group or whatever, it doesn't work for that. But most people don't travel that way.
Right.
Okay. Another one and this one's near and dear to my heart, is when you book to use a travel advisor and you say, well, how's that going to save me money? For one thing, it doesn't cost you any money because travel advisors don't charge any more than what you would pay if you go online directly with the cruise line, or if you go to one of the online travel agents. What we do is we help you prevent making mistakes. And I'll give you a great example. We had, this was not our client, but someone called us one time and they had booked a Disney cruise for 4 people, but they had 5 people, one of which was an infant, was only 6
Right.
months old. And they figured, well, you don't have to, it's like airlines. I just told them in my lap, and they were not able to board. They lost all their money because they didn't know that an infant counted as a passenger. So we can prevent mistakes for you, and that helps a lot. The other thing that many travel advisors are part of a consortium. We happen to be with the Travel Leaders Network, and they will take down groups. They will reserve group space, and sometimes the pricing in that group space is going to be lower than what is being offered by the cruise line. So we can actually put you into one of our groups, no additional charge or anything else, and save you some money. I booked one the other day. We saved the clients $300 per person just by booking into our group versus into the cruise line.
And that's not chump change. And these savings, you're not going to find these savings by trying to do that yourself or online, because this particular space is held by the consortia, or in some cases, or in some cases even the actual travel agency itself.
That's correct, Ken. Yeah, that you won't find those out there on the web. The other thing is your time is valuable, and it's worth money, and we save you a ton of time rather than you out there surfing and getting yourself totally confused.
Yeah, exactly. And in this day and age, Larry, like you and I've both been on the supplier websites, and it's really confusing, even for the travel advisors.
And we find a lot of the websites don't include all the information. Might not include port charges and taxes, and then you get this surprise when you get ready to book it. So with travel advisors, also will it be able to advise you on travel insurance, and that's becoming more and more important because we're the Cruise with Confidence programs are going by the wayside now. So we're going to be focusing more on insurance, and that's another money saving idea, is to buy travel insurance. And again, you're spending money to save money, but boy, if you ever have an emergency, it can cost several $1,000s, $20,000-$30,000 to air evacuate home. And so you can save significant amount of money with travel insurance. And
segue in just a bit here, but you mentioned Cruise with Confidence programs. For the benefit of our viewers and listeners, let's just expand on that just a little bit. What is that, and how come it's going away?
Okay, this was something that came about from the pandemic, and I'll give, for example, Royal Caribbean Celebrity. Their Cruise with Confidence allowed you to make a booking, and you could then cancel that booking for any reason within 48 hours of the cruise and get a future cruise certificate.
Right.
For Princess and Holland America, theirs was 30 days prior to the cruise, you could cancel for any reason. And they did this because they were trying to because of all the uncertainty with the pandemic. Sure. And so people were booking, and they didn't want to be committed if something happened and the pandemic got worse. And so it was a piece of flexibility, the cruise lines. And it's been in place for about 18, 19 months now. So the cruise lines have finally said, okay, we got to get going here. We got to get back to business as usual.
Okay. If I understand you correctly, we're now going back to the original final payment dates and penalty.
And most of the cruise lines now have non-refundable deposits, which is another way to save money. You can get a non-refundable deposit fare and buy insurance. So if something happened, not change your mind, but if something, an emergency happened, an illness or death in the family, then you could cancel, get your deposit back. You'll be out the premium for the insurance. So those are the factors that we weigh in when we advise you on insurance. One other thing about insurance while we're there, the cruise lines insurance never covers pre-existing conditions. And yeah, our policies, if you purchase them within 15 days of the deposit, it will cover pre-existing conditions. So if you have anything like that, you really need to be talking to a travel advisor, because it's not just a blanket travel insurance. There are a lot of nuances involved.
Right on.
Another money-saving idea is to make sure you get all the discounts that you're entitled to. And that's where travel advisors come in. We ask you the questions. The cruise lines, if you call the cruise lines, I had a lady who had been booking Celebrity for many, many years, and she had accrued enough points in their loyalty program to where she got I'm sorry, not Celebrity, but Royal Caribbean. She had gotten to the point to where she would get a discount on every balcony cabin. Well, nobody at the cruise line ever told her about that. She didn't even know it existed. So then when she came to book with me, I said, you could get this pretty big discount here. Discounts, a lot of them you might not think about. The most common ones are over 55, military, Canadian and U.S. military forces, first responders. Your state of residency will often get you a discount, and then past guests. And each cruise line is completely different. But we research all of those to make sure, and we ask you the questions to make sure we get you all the discounts you're entitled to.
And that's not to lean on the cruise lines, but in the reality of it is, with their call centers, they're just so large and they're taking so many inbound calls. They simply don't have time to spend that extra time investigating whether you qualify for a particular discount, whereas your travel advisor would.
Right.
Because they're working for you.
And the other thing about call centers, they only know one cruise line. They may know that one, but we represent 28 different cruise lines. And so we know the differences between the cruise line, and just being on the wrong cruise line can be a disaster in itself. So that's another thing a travel advisor can advise you with. Ken, another way to save money, and again, this is more for our folks who are retired that aren't on is to be able to book cruises in what we call the shoulder season. And for an example, in Alaska, our season runs from the 1st of May all the way through, well, we're a little extended now, but through the end of September. The highest pricing occurs in the June, July timeframe, because that's when the kids are out of school and they're traveling. And so the more, again, all cabin pricing is based upon supply and demand. When you have greater demand because you're traveling with kids, then you're going to have higher prices. So if you're flexible and you can go, let's say in May or even August or September, you're going to find lower prices during that time frame. Here in the Caribbean, if you book in hurricane season, the height of it is in the August, September, October time frame. You'll find lower prices during that time frame too. General pricing in the Caribbean, our lowest pricing, again, happens when kids are in school after Christmas through about the 1st of March before spring break. And then after the summer holidays, starting in about the end of August through Thanksgiving. Those are the least expensive times to cruise here in the Caribbean.
So with the shoulder seasons, I would tend to think one added benefit would be in the shoulder seasons too, that if you're coming into some of these ports, it's probably going to be a little less crowded.
Yes. Yeah, especially Europe. You know from your experiences in Europe that the school kids travel in large herds. And I mean, we were in Florence one day, and you could literally not walk down the sidewalk because of all the school groups. So
yeah, it's like it reminds me in Rome. We were in Rome around that time, and it is just wall to wall people.
Yeah. And so with our climate change, we're finding Europe is used to, we wouldn't recommend going to Europe, let's say after the end of September, but the ships are staying over there longer. They're staying in through November sometimes before they come back to the United States. And they're getting kind of an Indian summer in Europe, but the weather seems to be getting better in Europe in the fall. So I've been recommending people travel later in the fall, in October and even into November.
Well, for sure. And you don't want it to be stifling when you're doing this type of tour in Europe anyway.
Yeah, and we found out a lot of Italian hotels don't have air conditioning. And,
yeah,
So again, things that we take for granted in Canada and the United States don't exist all over the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Another way to save money that is almost becoming a necessity, and that's beverage packages. People say, well, I don't drink that much, which is probably true, but they are including things like specialty coffees. Celebrity, I love Celebrity has their premium beverage package includes Celebrity coffees, and they have a coffee bar called Bachio on deck 5, and it's like being able to go into a Starbucks, but you don't have to pay anything, so you get to try all these latte, mocha, whatever these things are that I have no idea, and without it, I'm not going to spend $4.95 to find out what it tastes like. But so the specialty coffees, sodas, bottled water can be very expensive buying it by the bottle on a ship. So
Right.
the beverage packages will save you a lot of money. And I ask people, look at your last cruise and look at your onboard account and then compare it to what it costs. That's a good way to save money.
So in some cases, like with the example of Celebrity, you have the opportunity to include that as part of your fare.
They include it in all their fares now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a new pricing, which is
Yeah.
very popular. And I think it's catching on with the other cruise lines, but they include Wi-Fi, gratuities for the staff that are running right around $15 per person per day, and a classic beverage package. Yeah, this all included pricing is getting to be very popular. People don't like to be nickel and dimed on board the ship.
People are looking for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ken, another way to save money is and this is as we get back to normal, is going to be even more important. And that's to book your shore excursions through a private group instead of actually through the cruise lines. And we find that a lot of times they're less expensive. The only disadvantage is your meeting spot might not be right on the pier. It might not be on the ship, or won't be on the ship. So you might have to go out the gate and go find your tour and things like that. So if you have mobility issues, that could be a problem. But it's worth exploring. And again, a travel advisor can help you with that. We have several vendors that do a really good job in all the ports of call.
And that can be significant savings overall.
Yeah, you would be surprised. And a lot of them offer packages. They'll give you like 3 excursions at 3 different ports if you buy it all at one time. Whereas the cruise lines, I've never seen them discount anything, for doing multiple excursions.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that's about my quiver of tricks for saving money, just in broad terms. I mean, there's a lot of, again, comparing, picking the right cruise line, all of those things are important because, again, your vacation dollars are very important. And there's no sense wasting them taking the wrong trip on the wrong cruise or even the wrong tour company.
Well, just listening to you, I can speak from experience on a couple of those things that you mentioned. And in particular, there was times when I certainly wished we had an all-inclusive drink package. After getting the bill on the last day of the cruise, I go, did I drink that much?
Yeah. It'd be surprised. That's why when people say, well, I don't drink that much, I say, okay, sure. But when you're on a cruise, somehow you tend to drink more. But and that's another thing. Not only do you get to try the specialty coffees, you get to try different drinks. I mean,
Yeah.
We were just on a cruise last week, and this lady said, I've never had a chocolate martini. And then someone else said, well, what's this lemon drop? And so they were trying these different things.
And you simply wouldn't do that, if you're putting your hand in your pocket every time, because it's just natural.
Or you got to drive.
Or you got to drive. That's the great thing about a cruise. It's a cruise. You walk. You're walking home every night.
That's right. Or as one of my passengers wasn't quite able to walk, so they called him a cab. They brought him a wheelchair and wheeled him to his cabin. So he said he was the only person who ever used Uber on a ship.
Well, Larry, this has been absolutely great information. If folks want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make people aware of our podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Store, Google Store. The best way to find a podcast is called Just Cruisin' with Larry Jackson. If you just Google that, there's a lot of Just Cruisins with no G out there. So just put Just Cruisin' with Larry Jackson. And then the other way is to contact us on our website. On the crawler there, justcruiseandviera.com. There's multiple ways to contact us. So listen to the podcast and then give us a ring or send us an email.
Well, that sounds like a plan. I'll leave those links in the description for those folks that may like to reach out to you.
Okay, thank you.
I always like to ask, What's next? What's next on your guys' bucket list? Do we have anything in the mill that we should talk about?
Yeah, we are on May 15th. We're going to be taking a cruise from here at Port Canaveral to Bermuda, and we have not had cruises from Port Canaveral to Bermuda. And I think all 19 years we've been in business, and we're going to be taking a group of 10 or 12 folks with us and going 3 days. We'll spend 3 days in Bermuda, go to Nassau and Coco Cay, the private island with Royal Caribbean, Mariner of the Seas.
Wonderful.
But our next real big trip is going to be in June. We're going to go out to Silversea, join Silversea Cruises in Alaska on the Silver Muse. We have 18 guests on that. Silversea is my favorite cruise line in the world. Linda doesn't like me to say that, but I love them. So I'm really excited about that.
Alaska, from everything that we've seen, is really, really popular, and demand is super high for it. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about your time on Silversea with Alaska.
Okay,
we'll have to have you back to regale us with all your adventures in Alaska. On
maybe
Silversea.
We'll do an onboard interview. Their Wi-Fi is good up there.
That sounds like a real plan to me.
Okay, all right, sounds good, Ken.
All right, my friend. And with that, I'm just going to wish you smooth sailing on all your future cruises and land adventures, and I hope to see you on a Lido deck real soon.
Okay, me too, Ken. I love it.
Take care, Larry.
All right. Bye-bye.
And that just about wraps things up for today, folks. But we did promise you 10 ways to save money on a cruise. And I know Larry would want me to mention number 10, and that's to book on board. So the next time you have nothing to do on a sea day, take a few minutes and drop by the Future Cruise Desk. You will have the advantage of a knowledgeable specialist, greatly reduced deposits, onboard credits as much as $200 per cabin. You get your choice of the best staterooms. And the best part, your travel advisor will receive notice and credit if you're currently using a travel advisor, and your bookings and perks remain valid for several years. And there you have it, 10 ways to save money on your next cruise. My special thanks to my guest, Larry Jackson of Cruise Holidays of Viera. If you'd like to reach Larry, I'll leave his contact information in the description for both Larry and his podcast. If you'd like to reach us, send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated, and it helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.